Welcome to this week's Inspiration Daily. This week, the topic is financial liberation, breaking the shackles of debt. I want to start with a scripture, which is Proverbs 22:7, which reads, "Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender." There are many things that Satan tries to use in our lives that prevents us from growing to our spiritual potential, from being able to be stress-free, focusing on the things that God will have us to focus on. And one of those many things that he uses is debt. In a time of year, at a time of year when we try to be a blessing to so many other people and be thankful for the things that we have, Satan sometimes creeps in and gets into our mind and makes us focus on the things that we don't have. And in a time where we're trying to be a blessing to so many people, sometimes it becomes difficult because we just have a lack of financial resources based on it may be your job situation. It may be simply you just have a lot of debt that you got to take care of. Maybe in over your head. Each year, I know it is no, I'm no stranger to the fact that there are many people who make financial resolutions, all type of resolutions each year, but they have no plan of execution, how to make sure that next year is going to be a better year. We just hope and pray. But even in prayer, there's an action item that requires our attention and requires some things from us that's going to make sure that blessing manifests and becomes fruitful. So we want to start this year, 2017, leading into 2018, and make next year a year of fruitful earnings. Sometimes even when God has blessed us, there are many times God blesses us financially, and because of our lack of knowledge how to manage these funds and those blessings, we sometimes even blow our opportunities to get ahead. And this is one of the things that we'll deal with now. And we basically will use this week to tackle the most debilitating and depressing issue of debt, which is depression, stress, and everything, so that we can begin and over time. And it's not going to happen overnight, to live life abundantly and debt and stress free. If you're currently struggling with debt, I'm here to tell you that you're not the only one. I'll start with giving you a few statistics in the U.S. alone. The numbers I'm giving you is from the Federal Reserve from Q1 of this year, January through March of this year. The average household holds $16,000 worth of credit card debt, with U.S. holding a total of $764 billion worth of credit card debt. The average household mortgage debt is $180,000, with U.S. overall being $8.63 trillion. Auto loans, $29,000 for the average household, $1.17 trillion for the U.S. Student loans, $51,000 for the average household, $1.34 trillion for the U.S. And miscellaneous debt, $136,000 for the average household, and $12.73 trillion for the U.S. I guess you're beginning to see a trend here. With debt, we oftentimes focus on the financial portion of the equation, but often overlook the mental well-being or the spiritual well-being that is also associated, which is why this topic is so important to us as believers. With debt, people who struggle with debt are 2 times more likely to be depressed. Debt triggers our stress, reduces resilience against mental health problems, so you're more likely to be depressed. Also reduces your ability to fight off disease, which is your immune system. Mental health problems lead to decrease in self-control, increasing spending, and altering good judgment. So with that being said, this is a perpetual cycle. So you have an issue where I'm stressed out about my debt, and so to, I guess, manage or cope with that, I spend more money to make me feel better, which is a perpetual cycle of creating more debt, which leads to further stress and mental issues. Denial. One of the things that one of the initial things that we deal with when addressing debt is, my problems are not that big. I don't have that much debt, and so we begin to deny how much you really owe, and we put aside looking at the debt that we have and putting everything in front of us. You start to have unopened bills, ignoring creditors' phone calls, and basically making the simple statement, everybody's in the same situation. So this is just a normal situation, which, yeah, there's a lot of people in this situation, but it's not normal to be in debt. God calls us to be good stewards over our finances, and so that we can live life more abundantly. But there is a way out. I'm here to submit to you that you can get out, and there's a way to get out of this. But it's about establishing a plan and executing that plan. And the second portion is what we typically fall short of, which is executing. We always can come up with a good plan at the end of the year. Hey, I can do this, A, B, and C. But come around June, July, that plan is going out the window. We're back to the norm. But we have to stick to it. Step one of this plan is putting it all in front of you. Sometimes the hardest part is facing the issue that you have and facing the debt and the amount of debt that you have. So what you need to do, you need to gather all your bills together, write it out, put it in a spreadsheet. Some people like Excel spreadsheets, and put them all on the list, and basically look at how much do I actually owe. And step two is strategize. And what I'll do today, and which is going to be the meat of what we talk about today, is I'm going to give you two strategies that I've acquired from both David Bach, who is the author, which is one of the most influential books I've ever read, which has got me on the right track with me becoming debt-free through reading the book The Automatic Millionaire. And also Dave Ramsey, which is across the board defined as a financial genius. And so the first one I'll go by is David Bach. And his method is called the dead on last payment method. And I find this to be the best format to use, the best method to use when you have credit card payments for credit debt. And so it comes down as a simple equation, whereas you take the balance of the actual debt and you divide it by the minimum monthly payment. So for example, if I have a $2,000 balance and my minimum monthly payment may be $150, so I would simply take $2,000 and divide it by the minimum payment, which is $150, and that's going to give me a dead on last payment sum of $13.33. This will make sense in a second. And so let's say, for example, I have another one, which I'm in the same household, a debt of $10,000 with a minimum monthly payment of $300 a month. That's going to give me a dead on last payment sum of $33.33. So with David Bach's format, I'm going to start by paying the lowest dead on last payment first. That's going to be the $13.33, which is the $2,000 balance with $150 minimum balance. Minimum monthly balance. And so I'm going to start paying that first. And then every other debt that I have with me that I'm responsible for, I'm going to pay the minimum payments on all those. So, but I'm going to pay as much as I can towards this first debt first before I even attack any other. So oftentimes we want to attack everything at one time, whereas we're paying extra $50 here in all of our payments. But at the end of the day, we're getting nowhere. So we want to attack the easiest payment to pay off first, because the more you pay towards the principal, the less you're paying towards the interest, and you can knock that down a lot quicker. And so you should keep in this order. So you will basically number those from 1 through 10, with the lowest being first, and you'll pay those off first and go down the line. But if you cannot afford the minimum monthly payment, there's a way out as well. And oftentimes you can actually contact your credit card company and ask about their debt management payment plans, the debt management plans. And sometimes you can even get those interest rates cut by signing a guaranteed repayment plan. If that doesn't work, you can also contact the National Foundation for Credit Counseling for assistance on debt reduction. So they can assist you in consolidating debt and also eliminating debt. And that's actually, you can go to an online website, they can give you more contact information there. But also you can always reach out to me and I can send that information to you as well. The second format, the method that I like to use to describe to you is Dave Ramsey's method, which is, you may be familiar with, you may not be familiar with, which is the snowball method. And this is where you list all your debts from smallest to large. You make the minimum payments on all of your debts except the smallest payment, the smallest balance. So, and what you're going to do is a little bit different than the last one, is you're basically looking at nothing but dollar figures. You're not looking at minimum monthly payment. So if I have a $100 debt, I have a $200 debt, and I have a $500 debt, I'm going to start by paying off the $100 debt first, no matter what the minimum monthly payment is. You pay as much as possible towards the smallest one. Once you finish paying off the smallest one, you're going to take whatever you were paying on a monthly basis. So you may have said, I'm going to start out by paying $50. So if I pay $50 each for 2 months towards a $100 debt, after I paid it off, I want to take that $50 that I was paying every month and add it to my next debt, and then add that to my minimum monthly balance. So my next debt was $200. If I was paying $70 per month to that one, I'm going to start by paying 70 plus 50 from the last payment I was paying. So that's going to start out with $120 towards that $200 balance. So that's going to began to get me to knock that down. So now I owe $80. So when you begin to look at it from that format, you keep doing that till you pay off each debt. So you're able to I guess, see your progress as you pay off each small debt. So just start with the smallest and go from there. And you just repeat this until all the debt is paid in full. One of the biggest things that we often dismiss is waste when we're looking at debt. And we say, well, I still want to treat myself. I still want to be a blessing to myself. I still want to enjoy myself, which is an important concept in, working a job and, having a fulfilling life. But sometimes it takes sacrifice to get to where you want to be. You have to crawl before you can walk. And so as you start this financial journey, you're going to look at waste and remove those items from your budget. You may be using some type of cable services that you necessarily don't need, eating out a lot versus preparing your meals. There may be some monthly subscriptions that you don't need. There might be some memberships that you don't even use, etc. So you have to look at those type of things, and what you'll realize that $20 to $30 a month for a hit and miss expenses will add up a lot. If you do that 2 or 3 times, that's $60 to $70 easy. That can go towards knocking out a bill. So you have to look at debt consolidation and debt management from that perspective. But I always focus on the goal, which is establishing a method of living for me and being able to save money and live more abundantly. And so there's 2 methods that I've heard many times, and one that I actually endorse myself. First, when we get to the point where we've been able to knock out a lot of our debt, we're able to start saving money, which is the 80-10-10 method. And what that is a method of managing finances, to whereas with the 80% of your finances, your income is spent towards your living expenses. So that's simply to pay your bills, eat, gas, and those type of things. But in addition to that, the 10 and 10, 10% is for savings, which is what we consider an emergency fund. So if something happens, I got something set aside to fix my car. I got something set aside in case an emergency happens at the house. Or if I lose my job, I've been saving for many months. I got something saved up to give me a buffer until I can find some more employment. And then you have the other 10%, which is the giving and the tithing portion of this, which is always a good thing. And what you'll realize a lot of times, giving, there's life in giving, and there's a blessing in giving to someone, giving to an organization, a church, or whatever you may decide. But we are called by Scripture, as we know, to actually give 10% of our earnings. And so you decide how you want to do that. But there's a faith portion of that. In giving, you believe that God will continue to bless you as well and bless your finances accordingly. And then there's a method that I endorse, which is the 70-10-10-10 method, whereas you're living off 70% of your income. 10% goes to an emergency fund. Again, if I have an emergency, I need something, this is where I would go. Then I have a 10% that will go towards my 401k, my retirement, something that you're going to need long term. You may not want to, you may not see a need, but I advise it. But you may also decide, hey, well, I want to take a summer trip. I want to put 10% aside each month, every 2 weeks, or whatever, however you want to manage it. Whatever, to go towards that special fund. Then there's still the 10% concept of giving to others. But the key to reducing all this and preventing this issue from ever happening again is the concept of contentment. It's a state of satisfaction, reaching happiness without things, without objects, without services. It's just being happy with what I have. And that's the only way you can reach true happiness. Happiness does not come from anywhere or anything other than within ourselves through Jesus Christ. It's a state of mind that allows me to say that I have enough, that my life is sufficient, that what I have is sufficient. And one other scripture I want you to read, I won't read through all of these, but it's 1 Timothy 6 and 6-12. And I simply want to say this after you read it. Don't allow your possessions and the idea of having become your idol. And so I hope that this has been a blessing to you. I hope that this message has been a blessing to you. I hope it leads you into a prosperous year in 2018. Again, you can reach out to me if you'd like to have additional conversation, want to discuss debt consolidation, debt management, and becoming debt free. My email is dailyinspiration4life@gmail.com. Dailyinspiration4life@gmail.com. Thank you again for tuning in. Be blessed, and let's make 2018 a prosperous, financial, and fruitful year. Take care.